This is a fun song. This is Riders in the Sky, also known as A Cowboy Legend, and also known as Ghost Riders in the Sky. Now this is a song, we're going to take a look at mostly a vocal strumming version of it, but we'll talk about playing the lead a little bit and playing it a little more specifically. And just a few hints on incorporating it into the way I just played it there. So most of this lesson though is going to be based on on strumming the chords, understanding the progression, and understanding the arrangement and stuff like that. So, but I will give you some hints on that little solo version that I just kind of made up there, but we're going to do that without tab, we hope. So, interesting song, written in 1948 by a fairly prolific at the time songwriter named Stan Jones, who wrote a lot of cowboy songs. Gee, surprise, surprise. Now this one caught on pretty quickly. Now the first recording was done by Burl Ives back in 1949, came out in the early part of 1949, and Burl actually did two different versions in two different keys even, and with two completely different feels. The first one was very folky, and the second one was a little more bluegrassy, and then big time band leader Vaughn Monroe kind of put out a little more, not quite as country version, but anyway, big deep baritone voice with his band, and that's kind of the one that sort of launched it. And since then it has been done by bazillions, or at least a lot of people. Now we're going to take a look in this, and ranging from in the early 80s, the Outlaws did it. We're going to take a look at the version from 1979 that Johnny Cash did. Now, surprisingly, it's kind of surprising that Johnny didn't do it before that, but looks like his version came out on an album called Silver, but you can find it on all kinds of the Essential Johnny and things like that. And again, a lot of people do it in many different keys. Johnny's version was done in, the original version was done capoed at the first fret. There are later versions of him doing it with Willie Nelson at the second. Sometimes he'll even take it up to the third to take it, well, when he was still performing. So the key is not too important as far as where you're going to put it. You would put this in the best place, best range for your voice. If I was going to sing this, which I might a little bit later in the lesson, I would go to the second fret, putting it in B minor. It's going to it revolves around an A minor chord, and the notes are all, the chords and the melody notes are all right out of the A minor scale. But anyway, getting back to some of the different versions, there's some really interesting, Johnny Cash's album that had this on it, by the way, his album Silver, his 62nd album. So this goes like way back. I mean, this is like long in his process of doing things. So anyway, there were some instrumental versions done too. Some of the surf bands at the time did them. The Ventures here in the States, and over in England there was a similar band, the Shadows, that and they played very similar versions. It's interesting whether Noki or his name's escaping me right now. Oh, Hank Marvin. I gotta prep these things better. But was the guitarist in the Shadows, and Noki Edwards was kind of the driving force, or one of the driving forces, in the Ventures. But anyhow, okay, am I rambling on too much about this song? Let me see if there's anything else I meant to tell you about. Probably not, but there were a lot of different versions too. Debbie Harry did a kind of a sort of meditative version. The Me First and the Gimme Gimmes had a version of this. And I think everybody else, Peggy Lee, Andy Williams, anyway, just a lot of covers of this going way back. So, but we're going to take a look, really just kind of a simple strumming version. This is a straightforward cowboy country song that anybody can play. It goes a little bit quickly. We'll talk about the timing and stuff, and it's just a steady bass strum. This boom chukka kind of sound, typical of many Johnny Cash tunes and things like that. So, okay, a couple more segments coming up, and we'll be taking a look at Ghost Riders in the Sky.